Okay, we're going to look at something called a ribbon spread. Now, my only purpose for doing this is to quickly show the cards. Okay, so here maybe you can quickly see how many there are, perhaps, that kind of thing. And then if you have the cards face up, you can actually see the identities of the cards quickly, and maybe you can count, okay, how many red cards do we have? How many black cards do we have? That kind of thing. Or maybe you're actually looking for a specific card. Maybe you're wondering if the ace of spades is in there. So you can kind of quickly see if that's the case, right? So some people might consider this a flourish, I guess, kind of a fancy way to work with the cards. And I suppose you could view it that way, but that's not how I view it at all. I just view it as a utility move to see, okay, what's going on with these cards here? Okay, so there's a number of ways to hold the cards. A way that seems to work fairly well for people first learning a ribbon spread is to hold it like this, where your index finger is going to regulate the amount of pressure that you're placing. It's almost like your finger is kind of deciding how quickly the cards are kind of dealt and spread out across the table. Okay, so that's kind of a safe way to begin. So you're just holding it like this here, and then your index finger is just kind of helping to regulate how quickly the cards are allowed to leave from underneath your finger. Okay, so that would be a good way to go. Now, another way to do it is, well, one way I do it, especially if it's a small surface, is I kind of hold the cards like this, actually, and my thumb now does the action of what the index finger was doing before. So I go like this, and then I just go like that. Okay, so I find it easier when you're in a small area. If you're on a big old table, this hold like this is wonderful because you can reach your hand out and you can go all the way across. You can have a ribbon 4 feet long if you wanted. If you have a full deck, I only have about half the cards here. Okay, but I never find myself needing to spread out necessarily all, or rarely, all of the cards. And for these videos here, I have this relatively small space. Okay, so I'm holding it like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play, this is how I would place my hand. Let me just show you what my hand looks like. So it looks like that. So that's kind of, that's what's touching the cards. And then the thumb is kind of letting them off at a certain rate. Okay, so it's a nice way to do it if you're in a confined area like I am here. I don't have a big old table over which to spread these. Now let's do it face up, because that's really normally how it's done, because you want to quickly show, okay, is the ace of hearts here? Oh, it is. There it is. Okay, and that's in contrast to having to kind of go through and check them all individually, right? Is it in there? Okay, so it's an efficiency move, really. You want to just quickly see what's going on. So you go, oh, okay, I see how many red or black there are. You see this big block of black and big block of red, or whatever it is you're looking for. Okay, so it's a nice little card move that for me serves a functional purpose, really, to be able to kind of quickly show the cards. And it's good to use when you can't necessarily do a one-handed fan and you know, show all of the cards very well. Okay, so like this packet here is already getting a little bit big. You know, I know some people can do the whole deck and have the deck go in circles almost. But for most mere mortals, you know, about 26 cards is plenty to try to show the cards using a one-handed fan. So anything that size or bigger, it's just a little bit easier to show them on the table, right? And I don't even worry about like how perfectly spaced out they are, that's not a real concern. My only concern is, can you see what are called the pips? Can you see the identity of the cards? That's all I'm really worried about. But whether or not they're like perfectly spaced, that will actually just depend on the age of the deck. This one's been used a bit. And the older decks, they start to get oil on them. Yeah, and some cards just kind of wear out faster. And so that causes a non-uniformity in your ribbon a little bit. Okay? And a big issue is the surface on which you're actually doing it. So I have actually a performance pad here, and so it's kind of this felty material. So it's a good place to learn and practice the ribbon spread, because you're more likely to be successful in kind of uniformly spreading those out better than I am here. If you have a good surface. But once you learn how to do it fairly well, there's almost no surface that you can't do a fairly decent ribbon spread on. Okay, so the cards may not be like perfectly spaced, but most any surface will do. And especially for the professionals out there, they can do them almost anywhere, really. Okay, so anyway, that's the ribbon spread, and I kind of prefer this sort of hold, and I just go like this. I think one of the reasons I like it is it only involves my wrist, right? This other hold involves like your whole arm. In fact, you can see my arm in the video, right? So you're going, ee. Now, it's probably true that you can control a little bit better the rate at which the cards are being distributed out, but I just like that. The thumb one, I think it kind of looks cool. Everyone I show it to, they go, oh, that's cool, how did you do that? It's partly because it looks like the cards are just magically appearing from underneath my thumb. My thumb has this power to actually create cards right before your eyes, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's kind of a fun way to do it, and then it doesn't require much of that big of a surface on which to do it. And for most of what I do, ribbon spreading half the deck is typically the most I would need to do. And then you can always clean up, right? Not clean up necessarily to make it perfectly round, but clean up to make sure all of the pips are showing. Okay, and so that can often happen where you need to do a little bit of cleanup. Okay, and then if you want to get silly with the flipping them over, that kind of thing really primarily works on some kind of a performance pad, because you need a fair amount of kind of resistance, friction there for the cards to not just like flop everywhere. So this works, that kind of thing works well on these performance pads. So anyway, that's the ribbon spread. For me, it's a utility move. It's not a flourish or a show-off move in any way. It's meant to quickly accomplish something, show the cards, and then move on from there.